Alright, we're going to give this a shot. I am going to try and live stream the Week 10 recap as I go. So what you're going to see is all of how the sausage is made. You're not going to get the benefit of my editing that I normally get to do after the fact. So I need to make sure I can still record the actual podcast while doing this, so bear with me for a minute. Testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2 3 4. Okay, that looks good. Let's see. Looks a little quiet. Testing 1 2 3 4. You're listening to SCP Café. Yeah, that looks alright. That looks better. Okay. Let's see. I've got my 6. Alright. Let's bring that bastard over here. Bring these bastards over here. So I can read. I'm ignoring that doorbell if you heard that, by the way. Let's see. Alright, I got the order here. Now I'm going to do a different cold open for the podcast this week. I've been thinking about how I wanted to do this. I want to do this like open with a quote from the work that I covered last. And I think that's going to work well. Let's see here. Interesting, I have an echo apparently. I don't know what would cause that. Yeah, I'm not sure. They're actually... Oh, I bet I know what it is. Hang on. This needs... That's probably better. Okay, so I wanted to pull something out of this one. You confuse me. My submarine K-968 is of Jarka class. It is powered by K-9 water boiling reactor, reinforced to prevent explosion in case of hull breach. Very standard technology, yes? That's a line from SCP-4062, one of the 5 we're going to cover in the Week 10 recap here on SCP Café. I'm your host, Blue Soul, SCP Wiki moderator, chat operator, subreddit moderator, author, loving husband, cologne aficionado, dog petter, and store grand opener. Boy, I'm excited to get this out of the way. The store is up and running, visible from the homepage at scp.cafe, or you can head directly store.scp.cafe. I meant to add a coupon code for this. I've got the secret one, or the not-so-secret one, but if you didn't catch that one. I want to make sure people have something. Let's add a coupon. I call this week 10. This will be 15. And can't stack. Okay. That's one thing you're going to find out. I belch a hell of a lot more than I let on the podcast. It's terrible. All right. If you were paying close attention a few weeks ago, you know about the 30% coupon code out there. If not, that's okay. You can enter the promo code WEEK10, that's WEEK10, to take 15% off of your order. I have quite a few things up. There's going to be more on the way. In particular, I still need to get the rest of the Sunny Clockwork designs that I feel like I can do on vinyl decals up. But I do have the name badges. They are looking very good, and got the accessories for them. So if you want to get little lanyards, badge clips, and so on, I'm selling all of that stuff at really reasonable prices. The shirts are looking really good. They exceeded my most optimistic hopes for how they would turn out. And of course, the regular vinyl decals, I've got pictures up both on the store site and on SCP.Cafe. I've got one attached to my car. It looks really sharp. And I also have the pins on a pre-order. Those I probably won't have for another month, but I want to go ahead and put them out there. I've tried to make everything as reasonably priced as I can. I'm also, as I've mentioned a few times, setting aside 5% profits to Project Foundation, so you will be supporting the wiki with your purchase, as well as, in the case of the Sunny Clockwork artwork, any decals, anything you purchase from somebody that is a qualifying artist that is kind of in a partnership with me will receive 15% of the profits from the work. So, Sunny was the first person I reached out to when I started this. I really wanted them on board with this, and I'm grateful that they are, because I really am a genuine fan of their work, and being able to put that out there for people is really exciting to me. Okay, we covered that. JamCon, when is JamCon? JamCon's in a week. No, JamCon's fucking tomorrow. Oh boy. Alright. We are almost, actually by the time you hear this, we will be less than 5 hours from the launch of JamCon 2, the re-jamming, the 144-hour Jam Contest, 6 days of chaos, and as much as the community's looking forward to it, now that I have a plan for how I'm going to cover it, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to write for it, but I'm at least going to, I'm here for it, and I want to see what you guys come up with. I want to see what we've got as far as the topics. This is the last one went really well. People really enjoyed it, and I have high hopes, to say the least. I'm really hoping for good quality work out of this. Other contests, we still have the SCP International contest going on. A few more entries this week. None of them made it into the Week 10 show, but there are still, entries coming out and across all of the sites as part of this contest. And I think that's really cool that we're engaging all of these different branches in one contest. I think it's a cool idea, and we covered one of them, Wizard Cops, last week on the Week 9 show. So yeah, give it a read. SCP contest is front and center on the front page of the site right now, and you can see all of the entries that we've got so far. I'm not thrilled with that. Let's kill that. It's hot as a motherfucker in here. for the podcast, I am adding a couple of ways to kind of reach out and talk to people. This evening, for the first time, I am enabling comments on SCP.Cafe directly. You do need to register to comment, but if you want to shoot a message or give your thoughts on a show, that and YouTube are right now the only ways to get in touch with me directly. Outside, of course, of the IRC chat, which also has a link on SCP.Cafe up at the top. There's a chat button, and that will take you to a page where you can get dropped right into the chat and talk with us. There's quite a few people in the channel. We went over the Week 10 sort of selection process earlier today, and there's a lot of stuff that gets talked about that doesn't make it onto the show, and I do mention some works there and things that I really like that just due to time constraints I don't get to during the actual podcast. So yeah, I really love having the community around. So please, swing by, see if you like it. I hope you do. If you like the show, it's more of the same. So wanted to also kind of thank everybody for the support. The last few days have been all-time highs as far as traffic. Not sure where it's coming from, but I appreciate the love. We are just past the 5,000 stream mark on Spotify, and Spotify's been far and away the most popular place to get these. So appreciate you guys, and keep listening. I'm going to keep putting these out, and I'm really grateful and thankful that you guys are enjoying this, because I'm enjoying the production of it. We had 22 skips survive on Week 10, and every one of them was positively rated, so that was a lot of work to sort through this week. I did get it down to 5, and the stakes, the level of quality was high, and these do represent, I think, some of the best works of the week, and some of those interesting from a discussion standpoint. Actually going to kick this week off with SCP-4173. Oh shit, I didn't get the name of it. Stupid. It's titled The House on Hadley Hill, and it was written by DJ Cactus. Cactus on a hot streak. Had 2 in 3 weeks, I think. Actually 3 in 3 weeks, because I covered his work last week as my long boy of the week. And that was actually, that was one thing I wanted to talk about. One thing that I saw today, Mortos is creating a sort of a monthly recap article on the wiki, much like I'm doing in an audio format. They are doing as a text-based format. So I'm actually going to stick a link to the inaugural edition. It was just released a few hours ago. I'll stick a link on that on the SCP.Cafe page for the Week 10 recap show. So if you get to it from the website, you will have an opportunity to go check that article out. We actually covered a lot of the same works. The same works. Do it from the website, you will have an opportunity to go check that article out. Do it from the website, you will have an opportunity to go check that article out. We actually covered a lot of the same works. Why am I only getting this out of one channel? Page for the Week 10 recap show. So just past the 5,000 stream mark on Spotify, and Spotify's been far and away the most popular. Okay.
so to go check that article out. We actually covered a lot of the same works.
And I found that Mortos has a pretty good ability to take a work and deconstruct it quickly in a way that I appreciate and that I think you guys will as well.
And I found that Mortos works. And I found that Mortos has a pretty works. And I found that Mortos has a pretty good ability to take a work and deconstruct it quickly in a way that I appreciate and that I think you guys will as well.
Fucking allergies. Windy as a motherfucker today. It's got all the shit in the air. Now, we're going to get things kicked off. SCP-4173, The House on Hadley Hill, written by DJ Cactus. What we have at the top is a full-width picture of a house, and it looks to be in a state of disrepair. It's got some trees in the front of it. Looks like any other sort of southern woods sort of looking thing, and very short procedures. Indicates that access to the structure containing 4173 is forbidden. Personnel may only interact with the skip with permission from the current research head, and individuals affected by it are to be remanded to the Site 94 infirmary for analysis. And that is the entirety of the procedures. We describe the skip as a small access door in the cellar beneath an abandoned house near Mount Zion, Georgia, USA. And the abandoned house is colloquially known as the House on Hadley Hill, named after the ridge on which the house is located, Hadley Ridge. I don't want to cover this whole damn thing. Let's see. The trick with these is that we've got to kind of eliminate the crap. We need to cut out the stuff that isn't really relevant to the understanding of the work. If this access door is left open for a period of time between 20 minutes and an hour, people nearby will hear a voice coming from within the wall past the door inquiring who they are, why they took so long to come home, and will then ask to see the subject's hand, as the voice has trouble seeing. And if the person puts their hand through the door, they will invariably experience a sharp jerking motion, and when they take their arm out, will find their hand severed at the wrist, as if by a sharp metal instrument. Afterwards, the voice will thank the subject, which is, really courteous of them, and will assure them not to worry about the severed hand and that it will be replaced. And sometime later, as the subject is sleeping, a decaying elderly hand will appear somewhere on or in the subject's body. This hand shares no genetic similarities with the subject, and the hand's proximity to the wrist that was severed will depend entirely on how polite the person was when interacting with the voice within 4173. And the hand is fully functional, regardless of where it appears on the body, but it will decay and continue to decay until it passes all the way through being putrid and becomes bone. And the hand will continue to function at that point, and subjects will report having no feeling in the hand past this point except for an occasional warm, wet, lingering sensation. Ugh. So we've got a voice, and they... You know what's interesting is we don't ever really... like, I'm trying to go through the process of mentally sort of painting the picture, and we talk about the voice, and we don't ever describe the voice at all. So it actually becomes a little difficult to sort of paint that mental picture of, you know, what would I be hearing if I were in this, you know, at this skip site. I know upon reading further that this was an elderly woman, but that's probably worth pulling up a little bit farther into the work, because as it is, if you know, I think that's a minor knock on this, is that it will pull you out of immersion as you're trying to determine what you're supposed to be kind of hearing or envisioning or experiencing. Now, you may be asking, well, what happens if you don't put your hand through the access door? And the result is you will be pulled through the access door if you attempt to leave. And given that this is apparently about the size of a dog door, your being pulled through it is invariably fatal. And this is a nice little bit of body horror here. Subjects are pulled by the point on their body closest to the door and forced through despite the obvious disparity in size between the door and the body. And in most cases, this results in an immediate shattering, splitting, and spilling of the body as it is pulled through. Nice visceral imagery there. After all interactions with 4173, the door will close on its own. And that is the entirety of the description. We have two addenda here that go into the backstory of it. One on local folklore concerning this skip and the house, and it is basically like that we've found. Like that,
and it is.
We are following up on the local urban legend that the house was previously occupied by an unnamed elderly woman. The road to the hill was washed out in the 90s. The woman was no longer able to get into town for food and had no family to check on her, so in her desperation and starvation, she consumed her own limbs to survive. And having consumed her own hands, she was unable to free herself from the cellar after accidentally falling in while searching for insects or vermin to eat, and died there. Locals who have encountered the house have described hearing rubbing against the walls and the woman's voice speaking to them from beneath the ground. So we go from here to a test log with a D class and a doctor, and we have the dialogue's good. Cactus always has great dialogue between D class on these exploration logs. We have our D class open the door and wait, and we get an unidentified voice asking our D class to stick their hand in, and he is quite rude about it. He quote, "What? No, what the fuck? Hell no, I'm not putting my hand in there." The voice says, "Come on, don't be rude. I just want to feel that you're there. It's been so long. Just a touch." To which he replies, "Get fucked, bitch. I'm not putting my hands anywhere near this spooky ass hole in the wall." Which is a great quote with no context. Our doctor points out, you're really gonna have to, because we haven't been able to recover anyone who refuses to do this. I can't guarantee your safety unless you put your hand in the wall. So our D class does it, and our unidentified voice says, "You're right there. Thank you for coming. It's been so long since someone came in with a gift as well. You're so kind to me." And he's, "Gift?" And the voice says, "It's so dark and lonesome, and I've just been so hungry for such a long time. Thank you. I'll take it from you, your gift. You're such a rude little shit. You don't deserve it. You've had it for too long, and you don't deserve it. It's mine now. Mine for my belly. Thank you." And at that point, the D class is pulled against the wall, and they're hand is presumably chopped off at the wrist, as the skip is wont to do, and our unidentified voice becomes very, very rude, very mouthy. Calls him an ungrateful horror child. So don't worry, I'll fill you up too. You can have mine. I'll give it to you. And after this this dialogue, which I'm condensing significantly, our D class passed out from shock, went to the infirmary, was stabilized, and after 2 days in observation, was found to have a large growth emerging from the right side of his head. The D class panicked, and the growth began to put pressure on the brain. They were rushed to trauma care but died en route. And during the autopsy, it was discovered that the growth on the subject's head was in fact a decaying elderly hand that had appeared between the subject's brain and skull, breaking the skull and putting considerable pressure on the brain. The hand continued to clutch and claw at the brain for several hours after death. End article. So, from a creepy point of view, this does really well. But this is... I have issues with this as it pertains to what the site is about. That we have very short procedures. We spend a lot of time on urban legends and a very long test log, but we are failing in our core duties of secure, contain, protect. Our only procedures are regarding internal affairs. We don't make any mention of how we're keeping people away from this this structure. We are doing very little to actually contain it. So having an object class of Euclid is sort of moot, because we have not apparently done anything as far as establishing a perimeter. We've done very little in this work to indicate that we're actually doing our job at the Foundation. So this is actually a no vote, because it kind of, what it does some things well, but then it fails in some basic premises that I think we need to enforce to have a good quality work that is of the sort of nature that makes sense to have on the site, if that all makes sense. It needs a bit more time focused on the actual securing, containing, and protecting than what it has right now. So this is a no vote. Alright, that's that. 4898. Moving on, SCP-4898, titled Do You Have What It Takes? Written by Mini Meats. Mini Meat's been around for, I feel like, about a month, 2 months now, in 19. I've enjoyed their presence in the chat. This is a good new user. And I want to see if they have existing works. History. I think they have a couple. But I don't think I've done any of theirs. Contributions. Ooh, let's see. don't have an author page yet. So, a lot of stuff for a work in progress they haven't put up yet. So, yes. No, wait, is that theirs? Yes, 4401. They have anything else? 4369. So they have a few. Where the hell did I leave that? Let's see.
New user. And
this is their third surviving work in a pretty short span, so they're doing well. I find this to be pretty damn underrated. This is only at +7 right now, and hopefully, I think this is just due to a lack of eyes on it. There aren't a ton of votes in either direction, so it's not particularly controversial. It's just hasn't really been given a lot of attention. So what we have when you look at this work is an image on the right of we'll call him a middle-aged going on elderly man, bald on top, gray on the sides, named Saul Cronenberg, according to the caption. And we have procedures that indicate that due to the public nature of the skip, the already wide propagation of its assumed name, and its ability to refer to
and its ability to
traverse space, it's currently unfeasible to contain the anomaly. However, MTF Row 3, The Hills Have Eyes, has been established to monitor advertisements, media activity, and business conduct for SCP-4898 and limit its reach. And the skip itself appears to be aware of the risks of exposure and will self-limit conduct in order to maximize its effectiveness. And that's the entirety of the procedures. This is a Keter class SCP, so we're kind of at the cat's out of the bag, and for whatever reason, we are not able to really do what we would like to as far as a more thorough containment. We describe the skip as an extra-dimensional humanoid entity that possesses the ability to I'm fucking up today. To manipulate fucking space. Just delete that shit. Ah. To manipulate space, including instantaneous teleportation, the ability to co-locate, and the ability to clone or duplicate matter. So this is a pretty powerful entity. He appears as a late middle-aged humanoid male of Italian descent, identifying as Saul Cronenberg, and most commonly manifests in the greater area of Los Angeles, California, and has been observed conducting business consistent with that of a normal Hollywood agent that services the film and TV industry. It operates a small business front located in West Hollywood that does business as Cronenberg Talent Management and regularly takes meetings and hosts client negotiations at this location. We have noticed it manifesting at industry-related gigs and networking events and so on to establish relationships and meet new clients. The manner in which it does all this does not appear in itself to be anomalous. It gets what it wants instead by undercutting the industry rates. And we have an addendum below this, which is a commercial advertisement for Cronenberg Talent Management, and lays out the scene of Mr. Cronenberg shooting this commercial. Basically, telling potential actors, if you're tired of grinding it out while working 2 jobs, and for all that to have greedy industry predators take 10 or 12% of your check. And, it says, come on down to Saul. I know all the ins, all the outs. I can get you into roles and take you to places you've only dreamed about from your pull-out couch. Work alongside all the big names, all the big-time producers. I've been serving the industry for 30 years, and I know what it takes to make a star. So if you're ready to pour your heart and soul into your craft, give Saul a call today. And that's the commercial. We have a discovery log that gives some background into Cronenberg talent management, dating back as far as 1979. And this is some of my favorite work in this article. We isolated an actor in 2004 credited with the role of unknown prisoner in the film Chronicles of Riddick, who listed Saul Cronenberg as his booking agent. This person was marked as POI-1 and was placed under Foundation monitoring. The next day, -1 was observed leaving his apartment at 9:10, then again at 9:24, and a third time at 9:41, and at no point was he observed returning to the apartment. And during this time, each instance of the -1 left for a different destination. Resources at the Foundation were mobilized. All 3 iterations were apprehended after arriving on location. We determined that none of the instances appeared to be aware of the others, and after approximately 48 hours in custody, 2 instances of the POI-1 collapsed into an equivalent volume of a viscous tan fluid of unknown origins, and the surviving instance of the -1 was administered Class B amnestics and returned to the population. Just from a what the fuck standpoint, I love these 2 paragraphs. That, this guy somehow has the ability now, presumably due to his ability of working with Mr. Cronenberg, that he's in 3 places at once, but 2 of them are some sort of goo made human. The researcher's note at the end indicates that the recovered fluid is a mixture of selenium gold alloy and a silicon-based organic compound, and when an electrical current is applied to the material, it phase transitions into a rigid substance in a manner similar to that of smart metal. However, the substance appears to no longer retain its originally programmed shape. So, that's something. What we have for the rest of the work are 2 interview logs, and they're both behind collapsibles, and they involve an actor under Foundation employ who is participating in an interview with Saul Cronenberg in order to record and learn about the skip and his methods, practices, and abilities. We fitted this guy out with concealed body cameras, and we have a pretty standard interview log at this point. Gotta drink. Gotta keep fluids going. The talking will eat you alive for whatever reason. I've never figured out why, but it's brutal. Okay. I want to condense this. So this interview log is fairly typical of what you might expect for a kind of a job interview. It's a 2-way process. We're happy to be here. Want to hear what you can do for us. And it turns out that Mr. Cronenberg can get them into 3 different projects this year, and our asset, we'll call him Dave because that's his name, goes 3 in 1 year. Now I'm only used to 1 at a time. I don't know how I can do all 3 justice, let alone nail the lines on that short of a notice. And Mr. Cronenberg replies, "Don't worry too much, Dave. You'll have some out of this world coaching." The out of this world is in italics. "Free of charge to get you nice and ready." Dave says, "Free of charge?" And Mr. Cronenberg says, "Yep, for a meager 2% of your paycheck." So the comparable rates are 10 to 12 according to the commercial we had above. I can't bet that, but I see no reason to doubt it. And Dave says, you can keep the lights on and pay staff with 2% of a chump's paycheck? And our Skip says, volume. Basically explains that he's, making money on volume and also hoping that you'll put in a good word for him, the next time around. And but there is just one more thing, Dave. There are non-disclosure agreements and some extra health testing. And Dave says, figures seem standard. And Mr. Kronberg says, it's not. How much are you willing to give to build your future? Does this career matter to you as much as I think it does? Dave goes, yeah, of course. I've been working hard for years already, and I'm just getting started. What else would you expect me to say? Saul says, precisely. But I am going to give you a chance to put your money where your mouth is. I just need something from you, Dave. It's not monetary, but it is valuable. It won't hurt, and I won't take enough for you to miss it. Promise. Dave says, what, like my blood? Saul says, no, Dave. Actors are not just normal folk. Why do you think it's easy for you, for them, to slip into the skin of another human being and assume a role, even if just for a few hours? You've got that mojo, that conductive material. Fucking metal alloys. It's conductive material. Dave says, I'm not sure I'm okay with this, and it's making me uncomfortable. Mr. Kronberg says, well, that's your choice, Dave, but do yourself a favor and think about it. Come see me tomorrow and give me your answer. We need to move on these roles soon, and I'd hate to see you miss out on your chance. So that's the end of the first interview. The second interview, we tell him to go back. Let's figure out what exactly the fee requested is. We eventually say, Dave says, all right, let's do it. Give me something more about the what it is. And Saul says, Dave, I'll be honest with you. Me and my friends, we don't get out as much as we'd like to. But we love to travel, we love to see sights, we love to live. Do you see how those two things conflict? That's all we want, Dave, just a taste of the outside world. A little bit of freedom. And people like you are the perfect vehicle. And at this point, Dave tries tapping on his lapel camera, signifying a request for extraction. But for whatever reason, that doesn't happen. Mr. Kronenberg says, right in here, I've got everything we need to make the magic happen. He opens the door to reveal the small half bathroom. He goes, right there, in the mirror. Dave looks at the mirror. Saul enters the video from the left side and places his palm against the side of Dave's head, and we immediately lose audio and video communication. And Dave's equipment, however, continues to record using local storage. The video cuts to a dark place, and Dave's hands are seen floating in front of him. After about 60 seconds, we realize that he regains consciousness. We realize that that Dave's suspended in some sort of fluid due to the way his hands are sort of floating about. We can kind of determine this. He is trying to swim for it. We can't really tell if anything is happening to this because there's no objects of reference to make that determination. A dim light is visible at a distance, and after several minutes it increases in intensity until an entity becomes visible, and this entity is 2 meters in length, looks like an eel, and is now designated as -1. And on top of the entity's head is a long appendage that ends in a bioluminescent bulb similar to that of an anglerfish. The entity continues to close and alters the angle of its head to reveal multiple concentric sets of teeth surrounding a central orifice. Dave tries to get the hell out of Dodge. It doesn't work. An abrupt but muffled cry can be heard as -1 latches onto Dave's right bicep with his mouth. 2 sets of articulating appendages extend from the sides of -1 and wrap around the bicep, securing its hold. Dave uses his free arm to grab -1's tail and tries to pry it off. It doesn't work. Before Dave's able to try again, another -1 is seen attaching to the left arm, and additional instances become visible and emerge from the periphery, heading towards Dave. They ultimately surround and engulf our poor actor at great enough volume to render the video and audio recording unusable. And about 2 hours later, the video begins transmitting again. Dave regains consciousness on the floor of the bathroom. Ceiling lights on. Dave shields his eyes as he reorients himself. He checks his arms and the rest of his body for signs of assault or other evidence of eel-like entities. There are no signs. The door creaks open, and Saul Cronenberg regards Dave with a polite smile on his face and says, "Come on out when you're ready and let's sign this stuff. Don't worry, you won't remember a thing. You're not the only one with amnestics." End article. That ending is what sold me on this, because you always kind of have to hold your breath on these where you don't really know where they're going, and I was hoping we would have something like this where this guy, being thoroughly powerful given the abilities that it possesses, may also be just a little bit smarter than the Foundation as well. This is really well written, and I find this particular author to be kind of a breath of fresh air. They're doing some stuff in a unique way, and the work that's being put out there, the visuals, are really good. I really like the mental pictures that are being painted. The picture of Saul Cronenberg at the beginning using an actual person is it's one of those little touches that makes a big difference, because you can attribute a voice, you can attribute all of these things and make it much more real feeling to you. So for that, I find this to be incredibly underrated at +7, and this was a very, very easy +1. Okay, we're at 31 minutes. 31 minutes and 3 to go. Maybe we'll end about 68. Let's see. What do we got now? Oh, this was theirs. 4401. Yeah, I really liked this one. I didn't know this was theirs. I really wanted to cover this one, actually. Cool. Alright, 4776. Oh, this is a big fella. Oh. Moving on, SCP-4776, titled Reagan Weapon, in all caps, written by Rounderhouse. And what we have at the very top, I want to mention, actually, no, I don't want to mention shit. Oh, fuck. Actually, no, I don't want to mention. At the very top, I want to mention, at the very top, I want... Okay, where did I leave that? We have a picture of what looks like a shooting star, and the caption reads, "An image captured from an SCP-4776 test." Shooting stars may be not accurate, because this falls in an arc down to a point on the ground. I do like that you can hover over this and get a larger version, but it's not immediately clear what's going on with this, but it's pretty, so it's got that going for it. We have an object class of Keter and fairly short procedures. 4776's positional data is printed on a small index card and stored within a high-security object vault at Site 49. The -1 is recorded in the Site-49 database and may not be accessed by any personnel with less than level 4 clearance. Your procedures there. MTF Gamma 5 red herrings are to be dispatched to any location suspected of having been damaged by 4776 attacks. So we have an image of what looks like a shooting star, but apparently this might be an attack, and a description that indicates that 4776 is a paratechnological weapons satellite currently in low Earth orbit. It exhibits anti-fucking motherfucking anti-mimetic. Mama.
It exhibits...
Let's not save that. Okay. It exhibits anti-mimetic properties that prevent individuals from sustained knowledge on its exact positional data. It is theorized to be part of a...
theorized to be part... it is theorized...
Fucking up today. It's theorized to be a directed kinetic energy weapon deployed by the US DoD as part of SDI as a project to form a missile defense system for the continental US during the Cold War. The -1 is a complex thaumaturgic rune used as a focusing measure for 4776's orbital assaults, and the -1 can be formed from any material or materials and will, upon completion, result in 4776 arming itself for a bombardment. The process of firing takes approximately 10 minutes. It will release a targeted beam of photons, which, upon collision with the rune, will result in an explosion. So, sort of a light-based orbital strike. So that's cool. Apparently part of the Department of Defense, which, you know, that's weird, but okay. We found out about 4776, according to the discovery log, via a defector from GOI 616 Pentagram, which is the occult branch of the Department of Defense, claims footnote number 2. Records indicate that 4776 had been created as part of Operation Ares Forge, in all caps. Rounderhouse and I have talked about this in the past. Those inscrutable, all caps, vaguely threatening military-sounding projects. I'm on board with this. This operation is a concerted effort from the U.S. government to develop sustainable, occult-based weaponry for both Army use and sale to foreign governments. And though Ares Forge was recorded to have produced at least 57 working prototypes of such weaponry, currently only 4776 has come to Foundation knowledge. This is one of these that's colliding with my personal life in a weird way. As you know, as much of a non sequitur as that sounds, I'm looking at a new job in a security clearance position, and I'm hoping I get to find out about all this wild shit. Not that I could ever tell you guys, but you know, I could die happy that way. We go on to say that the dossier from this skip references several package drops to Israeli military sites from 1985 to 1986, and it is currently believed, given a combination of financial reports and documents acquired from this defector, we believe that the U.S. government is... I fucking clipped the mic. Fuck me. It's a problem with all this water. I'm not recording right now, but this sentence, I think you're missing a word. It is currently believed that the United States government has or is making sales of Aegon weapons. So I would say has been or is currently, because the clause would kind of lead to say that the U.S. government has making sales, and that ain't gonna fly. Okay. Let's see, where did I leave this?
U.S. government is...
or has been, making sales of alien weapons to the Office for the Reclamation of Islamic Artifacts through the Iranian government. Given the time frame, I have my suspicions on this, which is actually kind of amusing to me because I wasn't alive for it. I know damn sure Rounderhouse wasn't. We have incident 4776-1 on January 12th, 1986. We have two UH-60 Blackhawk attack helicopters approaching Site 49. They confirmed their U.S. government provisional veil clearance, which I love the concept of, that we have this level of the United States government beyond which you may know all of these spooky fucking things we get up to. They were allowed to land, and they claimed their fuel tanks were damaged, and they departed at 14:55. At 15:01, a senior researcher stepped into the central courtyard for a smoke break. 3 minutes later, re-entered the building and logged onto his workstation and downloaded several files regarding information on the Foundation Informant Protection Program onto an external drive. The senior researcher had the clearance for such an action, but had no reason to access this data. And at 15:13, he checked out of the site, entered his vehicle, and departed the parking lot. And at 15:17, 4 minutes later, the senior researcher's corpse was discovered in the central courtyard with an unlit cigarette in his mouth and several locks of hair torn from his scalp. So something fucky going on with some very fine timing. The site was placed on lockdown for 3 hours while security attempted to locate the individual who checked out of the site under this researcher's identity. They could not be located, and security footage in the courtyard was obscured by a tree, and the researcher's car was discovered abandoned 2 miles away from the site. And that is that incident. We have another one 2 days later. A gas explosion reported at the home of Matthew Shaw, our defector from Pentagram. And due to Thomas's connection with the Informant Protection Program, we were dispatched to investigate. The building had been entirely destroyed, and upon prompting, several witnesses reported a shooting star minutes before the explosion. So what transpires from here on out is a set of emails between a Foundation Diplomatic Committee representative and a representative of Pentagram of the Department of Defense. And suffice it to say, relations are frosty. Our diplomat is our diplomat's not happy. Basically pins that shortly after your team's helicopters departed Site 49, a minor security breach occurred that resulted in a dead employee and information on your organization stolen by an unknown entity. Would the Pentagram happen to know anything about that? To which they basically reply, we have no information involving such an event if it even occurred. Your site security failures are not our concern, and your lax protocols may have resulted in an information breach for us. Consider this a formal message that we do not know how one of your personnel managed to get himself killed and lose information about other organizations. So this is really well constructed from a professional point of view, as backwards as that sounds. This is the sort of thing that I have seen working for state agencies and I've seen working at the top levels of companies. These sorts of alpha messages are common at the top, and this really sets the stage for like you really get a feel for what the relations actually are between the Foundation and Pentagram. Fucking hot in here. It's hot as a motherfucker. I keep the door closed, one for the dog, but two just to kind of keep the outside noise out, and it's brutal. I require water. Oh. toasty as a toast in here. They soundproofed the walls when we had the place built, and it's useful because it sounds way different in here than any other room in the house. But god damn, it gets warm. Oh, okay. Where did I leave this?
Pentagram.
The situation does not improve in the next few emails. Things are actually going downhill very rapidly, given the time frame of these, which is a matter of like 3 days. To some from what were, you know, slightly shrouded insults to pretty outright threats. We go from these emails to a notice from the Foundation Diplomatic Committee, indicating that due to suspicious circumstances surrounding the previous 2 incidents, the committee deemed it necessary to take retaliatory action against the government of the United States of America for its recent actions, which are in direct defiance of the House Accord, Clause 17, Line 1. And we have a relevant bit here that looks to be something that we have laid out with the U.S. government in the past, that neither of us will take hostile actions against the other, and in line with the Atreus Protocol, the Foundation has provided documents containing sensitive information regarding the United States government to several Middle Eastern publications. The committee remains open to cooperating with the U.S. government to reach a reasonable conclusion to this matter. So we have intentionally leaked sensitive U.S. government data to factions that were, at the time, very, very, very tense. We get a response from the DoD. This is nice DoD letterhead of a sort here, and it's signed by. Well, you know what? I'll get to that. It reads, in response to the SCP Foundation's leaking of classified government documents to a Middle Eastern news outlet, and this is a Wikipedia link to the Iran-Contra affair. The DoD is willing to negotiate towards ending this unpleasantry. In the interest of fomenting a healthy working relationship, the U.S. government offers an opportunity for a peaceful resolution of the issue. The SCPF may decide the location of the diplomatic convention, and it's signed Ronald Reagan. I love it. Okay, so we go from there to a memo from the Office of 054. The Office of the Overseers has agreed on a diplomatic summit with the U.S. DoD at Camp David, January 27th, 1987. And what we have is a audio transcript from the summit between our same 2 people that were sending frosty emails back and forth, which probably not the 2 people I would pick for a diplomatic mission at this point in time, but I don't make the calls here. And in fact, it starts with, hello, Mr. Bishop, and Bishop says, evening. And Campbell says, how are you feeling? Bishop says, we both know neither of us care. Let's get down to brass tacks, yes? So that kind of sets the tone. We get right to the point. We believe Pentagram broke into Site 49. Pentagram says, there's no proof that was us. And we go, fucking come on, you really want to play this game? They reply, you've got no evidence. That break-in could have been anyone. The gung-ho bastards over at the UN, the Ruskies, maybe even your own little splinter groups. Okay, fine. Someone broke into Site 49 on the same day your team had to make an emergency stop for repairs, and immediately after, one of our researchers was killed and files on your group's activities were stolen, to which Pentagram replies, I fail to see how this involves us. This is very much how the government fucking works, by the way. If you don't know, I'm informing you. Like, we are both in the business of deny, deny, deny. So this is highly believable from the background that I have going into this. And so Pentagram fails to see how this involves them. And we say, well, naturally we'd have to take retaliatory action against such a group, whoever they would be. And they go, exactly what would such retaliatory action entail? Well, something that would cripple their power at the global negotiating table. For example, imagine if the information was revealed that their leader was suffering from a degenerative brain disease. That would be the end of it, of course, not by a long shot. What if the group's most dangerous enemies were to gain a significant advantage over them? Something like, say, in the form of leaked files, demonstrating an extremely powerful destructive artillery weapon that requires nothing more than a man's hand. And Pentagram says, why would their enemies trust you? Campbell says, well, you know what they say. And he traces a pattern on the table with his finger. And Pentagram sees this and hastily slides his chair back and says, sharing is caring, comrade. I like the thought of the Foundation when it comes to the U.S. government being total fucking bullies and being real bastards and getting what they want because they fucking can. What we have after this log is a document received by the Diplomatic Committee, and we have another letter from the DoD. In regards to the summit at Camp David, in the interest of resolving the dispute aired at the diplomatic summit, the U.S. government offers to willingly remove Clause 14 and Clause 23 in the House Accord, which limit the SCP Foundation from performing military actions on U.S. soil. In exchange for this, the SCP Foundation will remove any military assets that may be stationed around Camp David, as well as any weaponry that may have a chance at targeting Camp David from Oregon. And we have a notice from the Diplomatic Committee, a council vote summary that went to the O5s, unanimously approved, proposal accepted, we look forward to resuming a friendly working relationship. End article. I don't have enough good things to say about this one. This is professional and well done beyond the author's years, which is, you know, so encouraging from my perspective whenever I can say that about writers. But it lets, like, after you read this, you go back and sort of reread all the things that it still has an object class, we have procedures, but we are the arbiters of this thing. Like, we have total fucking control over the situation, and this is the Foundation flexing in a way that it doesn't usually get to do, and for that, I really appreciate the piece. This is a very easy +1. It's worth a read and then a reread to go back and catch all the shit you missed, and I think that is something that you don't see all that often, so great work. Alright, long boy. 49, is that this one? No, not this one. This one. $47.04. Gotta build up all the stuff for the long boy of the week. This thing's fucking long. Well, I've had longer, but it's 2 separate articles. And it's got monkeys and all kinds of good shit. Want to take a moment here to mention the long boy of the week. This is SCP-4704, titled You Got Mail, and it was written by the eloquent Ape This is currently at plus 18, and it takes place over 2 documents, the skip and the supplement. And it has to do with anomalous stone spheres that we found mostly across Central America, and in particular Costa Rica. Oh, fuck. It involves gods masquerading as capuchin monkeys, and I'm generally a fan of such things. Quite Long makes a lot of use of Ryza getting involved and showing various revisions over time, and really interesting work. The Foundation does not have a lot of answers for such things, and I'm impressed with it. When I do these Long Boys of the Week, the Path of the Long Boy is one fraught with peril, and it's not for everyone. But you should give it a read. SCP-4704, and the supplement, which is clickable from the bottom of it, that says You've Got Mail, hence the name. You could easily say the bulk of the narrative actually takes place in this supplement, and reading the one without reading the other does neither credit. So set aside a little time, give this a read. I give it a +1 on both of them. I think you'll really enjoy it. Long boy. Long boy. Okay. Okay, that's done. 2 to go. I'm at 47 minutes. 48 minutes. Okay. This fucking thing. Alright. Alright, we're gonna keep going here. Keep it moving. Oh, fuck. 6:03. I gotta see if my wife's gonna get home and mess with us here. Oh, fucking clock's 5 minutes slow. She is... well, presumably on the way. Fucking phone's off. Alright, well, we'll do the best we can. I might get cut off on one of these. It's unfortunate, it happens. Okay, do I need to open anything? Let's open that. This fucking thing. Alright. Moving on, SCP-4944, titled A Coffee Machine, except it's literally just a cargo ship. And it was written by researcher Pi. It is currently at +31, and the thing that initially caught my eye with this, outside of using the new SCP theme and by order of the Overseer Council, blah blah blah, and level 3 classified, blah 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 blah, there's a picture of a Keurig machine in a field, and what's more important, this is the same fucking Keurig machine that was sitting not 5 feet from me as I was reading this. It gave me a startle, to say the least. So, for whatever reason, it's a picture of a Keurig, and it's on like a field of grass, and it says SCP-4944 prior to containment. So there's that, and that's kind of how we get started with this thing. The procedures indicate that the skip has been stored in an open containment cell, and we have a footnote here, designated Site 876 Charlie, that is large enough to accommodate 4944. It's a Keurig, so I don't know. Caffeinated fluid is to be brought to 4944 every 2 days unless a test is being conducted, which must be approved by personnel, blah, blah, blah. Drains are to be installed in the ground of 876C in case of failure to bring caffeine, and drains are only to be blocked if a test is being conducted. That's the entirety of the procedures. We have this Keurig in a field because apparently, well, that says prior to containment, so we've moved it to another happier field, I suppose. And a description that indicates that 4944 is the designation given to two perspectives of the same object. Dash A, the appearance of a coffee machine, and dash B, the actual physical body of 4944, which resembles a 100-meter-long cargo vessel. And although the name cannot be deciphered, the architecture from the hull and the stern of the ship can imply that the intended use of dash B was to import exotic goods, including coffee beans from Brazil to North America. I don't know, man. Well, let's keep going. When viewed directly, Dash A has the appearance of a standard Keurig brand coffee machine circa 2012 to 2016. In particular, I can tell you which one it is because I own it. I'm not going to because I don't remember the model. But it's pretty good, and I recommend it. It's one of the old school ones that didn't have DRM on it. Although bearing the appearance of a Keurig brand coffee machine, three-dimensional digital mapping reveals the actual shape of 4944 as 4944-B, and although seemingly transparent, it still exists physically, creating the illusion that an invisible border exists around Dash A. If any form of caffeine enters within 10 meters of Dash B, the foghorns installed in Dash B will activate and will only cease if caffeine is laid in front of it. The noise exceeds 100 to 135 decibels, which is actually a pretty huge range, given that decibels work in log 3. That is a difference of 1,000 times, I believe. Someone's going to correct me on that. That's fine. Personnel who are exposed to sound don't report hearing anything at all. We have a thing that says unedited audio of the noise produced by Dash B follows, and you can click it, as I'm going to do, and we'll see if this scares the shit out of me, whether it is a foghorn or not. It's 10 seconds long. There's a caption that says 97.7% of subjects report hearing an absence of noise during the following file. Sure enough, it's silent. So, when presented with any form of caffeine in a liquid state, the liquid begins to evaporate at an accelerated speed, especially if the substance contains traces of coffee beans. And if not given caffeine within 2 days, the Keurig will begin to excrete a brown viscous fluid similar to that of syrup from its base, and this process will proceed until it's presented with caffeine. And at this time, it will begin to absorb the fluid back into the water chamber, even if the amount of fluid is beyond the holding capacity of the chamber. The substance does not have any hazardous effects, but is extremely viscous, and the fluid has high levels of glucose and gelatin, causing the fluid to be highly sweet when tasted. I'm assuming this is like old, burned, like gelatinous coffee, maybe with the caffeine removed. Once it has ingested caffeinated fluid, the skip will again blow its foghorn, which we thought we should view the blowing of the foghorn in an oscilloscope, and when we view the waveforms of these foghorn blasts, it displays variations of "I'm done," coffee, missing its second E, or "more please." And the skip also uses an abundance of emoticons during using the standard QWERTY keyboard. If asked a question, the skip will comply and exude a noise that, when processed, will show words that vaguely answer the questions asked. This implies that the skip has some level of sapience. An interview is scheduled with SCP-4944. We ask it, "Who are you?" And it says, "Don't care, need bean." So, why do you enjoy caffeine? And it replies, I have the addiction to coffee, sad face. What is the fluid you excrete when not supplied with caffeine? Coffee, drinky drinky. What were you used for? Coffee, all caps. Why do you bear the appearance of a coffee machine? Practicing impression. This was almost my favorite line of the week. I gave you my favorite line at the opening, but goddamn, like, just to sum up, why do you look like a Keurig when you're a 100-meter long cargo ship? I'm working on my impressions. So after more questioning, we start to get an idea of what this thing was, and sure enough, it was, used to supply the coffee beans from Brazil to North America. We conduct some interviews on, we give it black coffee, we give it espresso, we give it raw caffeine powder, that was denied. We gave it water with raw caffeine mixed in, and the results said, this is a very strange coffee, thank you very much. We gave it pure bleach with raw caffeine powder mixed in, and it said, delicious coffee. And we eventually cross-test it with the skip with fire symbol. The results are that the skip ingests the drink within 2 hours and emits, ow, owie, haha, just kidding, I cannot feel pain as I am a cargo ship, and does not show any side effects. And that's where we end the article. This is just the right amount of stupid, but also, like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, the fact that it appears to be a coffee machine is simply because it's working on its impression skills, and the work does not attempt to answer the very next question you would have, and I appreciate that about it. This is really entertaining, and not all that long, and great work giving this somewhat sapient coffee shipping cargo ship some real character with only a few lines. Really good job and a really easy +1. Oh, one more. We're at 56 minutes. The last one's not long. It's good though. Okay. Oh goodness. Okay. I really have to pee, but I figure if I wait, it'll just give me that much more reason to get through this in a hurry. I'm gonna figure out where my wife is. Unless she snuck in, which maybe. Nope, 6 miles away. So, she'll be here in a little bit. I'm gonna try and squeeze this in, get most of it done before she gets here. The process that you're not going to see when I wrap this up is go back, I trim some audio. Most importantly, I make a nice Makers and Coke, and that's about all that's about my weekly drink. So I'm already like looking forward to that. I've got like a Pavlov thing going. All right, let's get to it. Fucking scrap that. Oh, I should have been marking times. Fuck. Okay. So I'm going to have to go back and make note of when I covered each of them. Normally I would be doing that as I go, but for whatever reason I thought that was a bad idea today, so I didn't do it. Alright, enough. Let's do it. 4062 Soggy Doggy. This thing's fucking great, by the way. Last but not least, SCP-4062, titled Soggy Doggy, written by Lesh, and we have an image of what looks to be an old English sheepdog. It is captioned SCP-4062 in Site Black Box Central Courtyard. This thing is currently a plus 120, and I think it's still underrated. We have an object class of safe and procedures that indicate that the skip is to be held within a standard canine containment kennel furnished with a large dog bed, food dish, water bowl and dog toys. He's to be fed this much dog food, walked by its sign handler daily, blah, blah, blah. In unregulated conditions, SCP-4062 should not be submerged in order to prevent vapor explosions. Fuck. So, we describe 4062 as a male Ukrainian shepherd dog at 64 centimeters in height and 48 kilograms in mass. It exhibits no anomalous properties unless made wet. When wet, the dog will shake continuously until its fur is completely dry. When partially covered in liquid, it rapidly shakes at a frequency that exponentially increases with the volume of liquid surrounding it. So at some point, this is less shaking and more vibrating. And it goes on to say in the next sentence that when fully submerged, the skip will shake rapidly enough to boil water at standard pressure. And in this state, the dog requires no oxygen or food and displays anomalous tolerances of high temperature and pressure with no currently known limit. Once all the liquid's been boiled away and the dog is dry, it will stop shaking and resume non-anomalous behavior. If the skip cannot bring surrounding liquid to a boil, or if vapor is condensed and recirculated in a way that it remains submerged, the dog will shake indefinitely. And I feel like I should go back here. I did omit a line that is outstanding. Back at the beginning of the description, we described the dog and its height and weight. And it says, other than negligible senescence, which we have 2 footnotes, one that says, an observed lack of age-related symptoms, such as functional decline or decreased reproductive capability, and a second footnote that reads, POI 4062-13 claims that while 4062 does not age, it, quote, has a half-life of 67.3 years, unquote, and will eventually decay, in quotes, into a Siberian Husky and 2 Russian toy terriers. I love this. This is my favorite thing in I don't know how long. Anyway, let's keep going. We have an addendum. The dog was acquired when Foundation agents captured K-406, a Soviet Navy Project 705 Lyra attack submarine on August 29, 1983. After several Soviet submarine crews were infected with redacted, they were forced to surface, and we searched them for redacted. It was noted that the vessel's reactor, designed to be a lead-cooled fast reactor, was of no known design. Disassembly revealed it to contain our dog, which was used to generate steam for the reactor's turbines. So they turned the dog into a freaking steam pump for steam turbines. And we interrogate the crew of this submarine. We find that none of them knew about the vessel's anomalous power source, except for the engineer on board, Andrei Alexandrov, hereafter referred to as POI 4062-13, who gave us that amazing quote in the second footnote. They were claimed to be a naval nuclear engineer by crewmates and Soviet emissaries, but he insists that he is a canine engineer and a 1975 graduate of the Moscow Engineering Physics Institute Canine Physics and Engineering Program, and his claim remains unsubstantiated. I'm sorry, I need a moment. Okay. Materials produced by the POI have proven useful in manufacturing additional reactors and control systems to make use of the dog. Such systems, such as that recovered from the submarine, are non-anomalous in construction and merely exploit the anomalous properties of the dog, producing additional specimens, which the POI insists is a normal dog, has been unsuccessful. The clones and offspring display no anomalous characteristics. Agents embedded in Soviet and Russian governments have been unable to obtain information regarding canine water boiling reactors or canine engineering programs. We have an addendum. It is an interview. It's the second interview with this POI, and he says, I am graduate of Canine Physics and Engineering Program. I do not understand why that is unusual for Naval Canine Engineer. Our doctor says, according to contacts from your government, you are a nuclear engineer and graduate of Moscow Engineering Physics Institute's Nuclear Physics and Engineering program. It says, I have no knowledge of this nuclear, as you say. And replied to him back in Russian, give him the, nuclear, you've been working on a nuclear attack submarine. It says, you confuse me, my submarine is sheepdog class. It is powered by standard K9 water boiling reactor, reinforced to prevent explosion in case of hull breach. Very standard technology, yes? No. You do not know of K9 reactor? All tensions with America are from K9 technology. K9 reactor, K9 bomb, K9 missile. And we'd reply, K9 bomb? Missile? POI says, yes. Both countries have many such weapons now. Geopolitical situation is very complicated. The doctor says, let's come back to that later. Can you explain again how a dog can boil water? The POI sighs and grabs his assigned notebook. Is basic physics. Let me draw a diagram. End article. Oh, man. So, it's... I think you've gotten to know by now. I love it when we say more with less. And this says less about a number of things all at the same time, and it works so incredibly well that I don't understand 90% of what the fuck's going on in this thing, and I still absolutely love it. I don't want to say it's a simple concept. I almost did, and it's not. It's a very esoteric concept that we have... they've made it work in a fantastic way. This author is not the most prolific. They're got about as many as I do, about 5 or 6, and it's why I love what makes why we've got so many writers, so many different minds that would think of shit that I would never in 100 years think of, and this insertion of canine technology is very common. Making a dog boil water is basic physics. Fine, I'll draw you a diagram, and we don't get the diagram. We just end the article. Ending it right there is probably my favorite thing about the piece. That it's that commitment to saying less, and it's executed in that way. Like I said, outstanding work. Not terribly long. Very much worth an actual read as opposed to this narration of it and a very easy +1. And with that, we're done. This is week 10 in the bag. Enjoy JamCon. I will be ducking and covering. I will see how many skips I actually have available for review, taking JamCon into consideration next week. If everything coming out is JamCon related, I'm taking the week off, man. I'm going to enjoy my next Friday, and we'll cover JamCon after voting is over. But if people want to write stuff for things other than JamCon, and there's usually at least a couple of poor bastards that try to get a word in edgewise when we've got a big contest going on, then we'll keep on keeping on. We'll see what comes. As I said, thank you guys so much for listening. Please check out the store. The sale, as I mentioned, use promo code week10 for 15% off. We had a super secret code that got mentioned a while back for 30% off. So please check it out and appreciate all the support so far. Until the week 11 recap show, keep reading, keep writing, and I'll see you on the other side. Oh man, I gotta pee so bad. Fuck me. Well, I hope this was fun. I have a little bit of cleanup work to do. I got to go back, do my times, and start writing up the posts. And hope you enjoyed this. And thank you for those of you that kind of stuck around. This was fun. I think I'll keep on doing this. I actually had some people following, and I apologize. I can't really do the recap show and really contribute to the chat. But thank you guys. I know it was never a ton of viewers seeing where this looks like it capped out at 4. How was the sound quality? If anybody can kind of let me know, I'd appreciate it. I'm also on a bit of a time delay, so if you respond, it's going to take me a minute to respond back. I think there's about a minute lag